Hello, St. Baldrick's live event, 25 years. I'm Phil Januszewski, and I'm with Matt Makovich, and we are thrilled to be your host today as we commemorate the 25 incredible years of St. Baldrick's head shaving event and the profound impact that you and many supporters around the world have had on kids battling cancer. Matt, how are you doing, buddy?
Phil, today is all about celebrating the incredible journey we've been on together, honoring the courageous kids and their families affected by childhood cancer, and rallying to support Conquer Kids Cancer. But our work is not done.
Oh, absolutely not. We need you, our amazing community of supporters, to help us reach our goal of raising $100,000 today. That's right. You heard right. But every bit counts, and we can do it. Every donation, no matter how big or small, creates a ripple effect in the fight against childhood cancer. So please scan the QR codes, check out the links on whatever media outlet you're watching this currently on, or go to stbaldricks.org to make a donation and share this live event in any way that you can through Facebook, online, but share it around so that we can raise as much awareness as possible.
And Phil, would you believe that about 25 years ago, St. Baldrick's was born from a challenge among colleagues to shave their heads in solidarity with kids with cancer and to raise money to fund research for cures? Little did they know, Phil, this act of solidarity would grow and grow and grow into the largest charity funder of childhood cancer research grants. Could you believe that?
I cannot believe it. And Matt, if I can speak for both of us, I'd say that we are both honored to be a part of this today. What a day, celebrating 25 years. Matt, as you know, I'm shaving my head for the proud 15th year in a row. And brother, you have also been nothing but absolutely supportive of this foundation. What an honor it is to be here. But Matt, now I'm excited to introduce everyone here right now to two of the gentlemen behind that very first St. Baldrick's head shaving event, John Bender and Tim Kenny. Now, they're here to share some memories and reflections on how it all began. So, John and Tim, take it away.
Well, it was a surreal day, the first St. Baldrick's event. We had conjured up the idea in August of '99, and we decided to turn our debaucherous St. Patrick's Day party downtown Jim Brady's into a head shaving event. Our goal was to raise 17,000 on 17 heads on March 17, and we raised 104,000, mostly in cash that day at the bar.
So it was July 3rd going into July 4th. Me, Tim, Kenny, Enda McDonald, and John LaCava being the fourth would play golf every July 3rd and then go back to Tim's house and have a barbecue and stay up to the wee hours of the night. And maybe we're a little overserved. And at 2-ish or 3 in the morning, a conversation came up about giving back and that our careers are going really well. And they were, and we hadn't really thought about giving back. So Tim kind of gave us the ultimatum and said, well, you're not welcome to stay in my house unless you come to an agreement on doing something tonight. So that's what we did. And ultimately, we came up with an idea. We started talking about, each of us knew a kid who had passed away of cancer. And kids who get cancer, they tend to get treatment that has them lose their hair. In my case, it was a kid named John Zarcone from St. Agnes Cathedral High School, died, I think, sophomore year of high school, which back then, young kids are supposed to be invincible. They're not supposed to pass away. So we said we'd do something in solidarity with kids with cancer. And what do? Enda had like this Flock of Seagulls haircut back in the day, if you know that band. And I said, Enda, we could raise some money if you shaved your head in solidarity with these kids. And I didn't see the boomerang coming back when Enda said, I will if you will. And before I knew it, we had set up that night to have, March 17th, our annual industry St. Patrick's Day party, turn into a fundraiser, getting 17 people in the industry to shave their heads on March 17th and raise $17,000. And that's when we went to bed, and that's how it started. We went down to Jim Brady's, and it was a little bit of a craziness because, we went down, had lunch, and then we just moved chairs away from the middle of the restaurant, and people were still eating. And we put a barber chair in the middle and got a buzzer, and we started buzzing here while people are eating all around us. And we ended up, I think, having like 22 people shave their heads that day. and was surprised when the news actually showed up. And our first event was actually on the television news, which was the first time a lot of my relatives found out that I was shaving my head. But when all was said and done, we had raised $104,000.
Oh man, thank you, John and Tim. Thank you for sharing those inspiring memories with us. It's truly incredible to hear how St. Baldrick started 25 years ago from such humble beginnings and grew into this, man, gigantic volunteer movement that it is today.
And Phil, would you believe though, in those early years, St. Baldrick's grew mostly by word of mouth. It was truly the passion and the dedication of volunteers and supporters who spread this message far and wide, inviting more and more and more people to contribute to this wonderful cause.
And Matt, speaking of this cause, we got to talk. We got to bring in the big dog. We got to bring in one of the most influential people in this foundation. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's Matt and I's honor to introduce to you to hear from the St. Baldrick CEO, the none other than Kathleen Ruddy, and on what it was like in those very early years. So, Kathleen, please take it away.
The early years of St. Baldrick's were really exciting. St. Baldrick's was fresh and innovative and daring, and people really loved it. We always say we were social before social media existed because we provided communication channels for volunteers to mentor each other and collaborate and share their successes. And that built the community really fast. And so many who were hungry for a purpose larger than themselves found a home and purpose here. There was hardly a day that went by that someone didn't tell me, this is the best thing I've ever done for charity, or next to being a parent, this is the most important thing I've ever done in my life. I think St. Baldrick's grew so fast through good old-fashioned networking. The reinsurance industry is an interesting one, and that, of course, gave us our start. Reinsurers compete for business one day, and the next bring in all their former competitors on the deal. So everyone knows each other and collaborates, and the industry was the perfect incubator. And without it, St. Baldrick's wouldn't be here. That said, members of the industry also brought St. Baldrick's home from work and established events in their communities. So, of course, the local police and fire departments, schools, soccer teams, church groups, scouts, and parent clubs, well, everybody showed up en masse. We also invited families of kids with cancer to spread the word and put their extended family and friends to work. Everyone wanted to help, but most of us aren't scientists. And St. Baldrick's gave them the roadmap to help the scientists, and families and volunteers ran with it and put their own local flavor into the festivities. I think in the beginning, though, a lot of people underestimated this movement. They didn't see that we had lightning in a bottle, and that offering someone the ability to experience a part of what kids with cancer do was transformative, powerful, and really lasting. I witnessed some of the toughest people you'll ever meet get misty-eyed and emotional upon meeting a child they've just shaved for. And I've experienced all that anew during each of my own shaves. It's a powerful experience, and you know you've done something really important and powerful for somebody else. From day one, St. Baldrick's has chosen to focus on research to attack the cancer itself. When we solve cancer, the need for all the other services and interventions will be diminished or eliminated entirely. And I think one of the greatest legacies for any of us to say is that we help save kids with cancer. Who wouldn't be proud to make that part of their life's mission?
My goodness. Thank you, Kathleen, for sharing those incredible insights into St. Baldrick's early years. I mean, 25 years, Matt, unreal. It's clear that the dedication of volunteers played a crucial role in the organization's growth and success.
And Phil, when you sit back and think about this, St. Baldrick's is proud to be truly a volunteer-driven organization. Volunteers, like each and every one of you, make it possible to fund research that save lives.
Oh, it's unreal. And among St. Baldrick's extraordinary volunteers, there's an elite group, Matt, known as the League of Legendary Heroes. We better get an echo vibe in there. We should have gotten that ready. These individuals have gone above and beyond, giving their time, talent, treasure, and even their hair to support the cause. Now, friends, I'm a proud member of the League of Legendary Heroes myself. With my 15th year shaving, Matt, I went from my 7 year as Knight of the Bald Table to 10 years as Knight Commander. And I'm going to have to scroll here, Matt. I am going to be this year for my 15th year, the Crusader for a Cure. But I love it, man. You can get up to the 25-year mark. So if you've been shaving since the very beginning, the 25-year mark is going to be called the Grand Knight. So I got a lot of work to do and a lot of years ahead of me, but kudos to all these incredible humans and volunteers that have been supporting St. Baldrick's all these years. So to all of our league members out there and all our dedicated volunteers, we want to say a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you.
And that goes for you too, Phil. You are making incredible splashes of positivity, and I truly appreciate you and the rest of our wonderful volunteers. But now, Phil, I'd like to pass the virtual mic to some of St. Baldrick's longtime volunteers. And if you've been a St. Baldrick's volunteer, we want to hear from you. So please make sure that you drop your favorite memory below in the comments.
Hey St. Baldrick's, congratulations on 25 amazing years raising funds and awareness to conquer kids' cancers. My name is Rob Beatty from North Plainfield, New Jersey. I've been a volunteer event organizer for the past 20 years. We're just gearing up for our 21st St. Baldrick's Day event here in North Plainfield. My introduction to the foundation was simple. I was challenged by another firefighter to see if I could raise more money than he could. Shaving my head as a sign of solidarity with kids who lose their hair to cancer treatments. It was an easy yes. Naturally a competitive person, I don't like losing things. I was quite confident I could beat them, and I did. And it's been a great ride ever since. St. Baldrick's makes it so easy to be an event organizer. All the tools are available to us. The funding ratio just makes it an easy sell. You don't have to go, it's not a stretch of the imagination to say you're really making an impact. You're making a difference. I'm just happy to be here, still doing this. Happy to be a part of the St. Baldrick's family. I say we were ready for another 25 years, but we'll have a cure by then. We're doing the work. We're raising the money. Congratulations, St. Baldrick's. Happy 25th.
Hi, I'm Nan Foltz, and I am the VEO this year of our St. Baldrick's Foundation Canton, Ohio event.
I'm Sue Stevenson, Nan's sister, and we've been holding this event for 22 years. I am the lead treasurer this year.
Our daughter Abby in 2000 died of osteosarcoma, a childhood cancer, and going through grief, losing her, I heard about the St. Baldrick's Foundation, and I thought it would be a great way to remember Abby and also to help other children. And because of that, I called my sister.
And I was very willing to help. We started our first event and had 5 people shaving their heads, and I was one of them.
In the last 10 years for our event, even during COVID when we had more of a virtual event, we have had many schools participate, and teaching children how to help other children has been our best source for our Canton, Ohio event.
We've held this in a small salon the first year, and we've grown into an indoor tennis club, and now having over close to 600 people either shaving, doing what they want, or volunteering and raising funds for St. Baldrick's Foundation.
Oh man, thank you to St. Baldrick's incredible volunteers for sharing your heartfelt stories and memories. Man, it's all the feels today. Your dedication truly embodies the spirit of St. Baldrick's. And for those of you tuning in right now, Let's make an even bigger impact today. Consider donating $25 in honor of St. Baldrick's 25th year and all the buzzing heads and shaving for kids with cancer.
Now, getting back, Phil, to how this all began, it's awe-inspiring to see how St. Baldrick's has evolved into truly, Phil, a leader in the childhood cancer community. From those early days in a pub to now, St. Baldrick's funding has played a part in every major advancement in childhood cancer research since its inception.
It's unreal. And now, ladies and gents, let's hear directly from some of the top researchers working day in and day out on the front lines. Take it away.
Hello. Thank you so much to the organizers of this event and to all of you for your support as we work together to beat childhood cancer. I am Dr. Betsy Young, a doctor and cancer researcher at the UCSF Benioff Children's Hospitals in San Francisco, and I am the Team Jackson St. Baldrick's Fellow. I was inspired to become a cancer doctor and researcher by the doctors who helped my own mother when she was diagnosed with cancer. Now, my research in the laboratory of Dr. Sweet Cordero is focused on developing new and better treatments for osteosarcoma, a bone cancer that affects children and young adults and can be very difficult to treat. Scientists have known for some time that our immune system has the ability to recognize cancer and get rid of it. In fact, many of the best new cancer treatments for other childhood cancers have used this approach called immunotherapy. But we haven't figured out yet how osteosarcoma hides from the immune system or how to reverse this. In my research, I'm testing a new approach to unleash the immune system to treat or prevent osteosarcoma, including in the most challenging situations where the cancer has spread throughout the body. I'm really excited to continue this work, which I think in the next few years could result in a new treatment for kids with osteosarcoma. I have a deep passion and a drive to continue this important work because I also treat patients with this terrible disease. Even though I'm very dedicated to this research, I would not be able to see it through without the support of St. Baldrick's and all of you. Donations raised through St. Baldrick's events like this support researchers like me in many ways as we are working so hard to develop new and better treatments for kids with cancer. It's super important to continue raising funds to make sure that current research continues and also that new projects and young, dedicated researchers like myself have the startup support to get going in the first place.
Hi, my name is Ben Stanton. I am a principal investigator in the Center for Childhood Cancer at Nationwide Children's Hospital. So my research focus is on epigenetics, and what epigenetics is essentially the way a healthy cell or a cancer cell inherits its transcriptional memory. So the memory of kind of who the cell is. And we feel like this is very important specifically for pediatric cancer because there aren't a lot of mutations in many pediatric tumors, although there are some larger scale alterations. And if we can understand kind of how a cell inherits the structure of its DNA, then every mechanistic step in that process of kind of chromatin structural inheritance might be targeted for precision therapy. And why is that important? Because especially in rhabdomyosarcoma, which is a pediatric tumor that, where the kind of standard of care hasn't changed much in 4 decades, and then logically patient outcomes haven't improved enough in 4 decades, we really need to find new ways to attack the cancer. And so we feel like, again, kind of each mechanistic step that we uncover would then also uncover a new way to target the cancer with high precision. So how has St. Baldrick's funding helped? This is an amazing question, and I'm I think I'm always going to be grateful to St. Baldrick's, and I'd always like to kind of stay involved somehow in St. Baldrick's because it's such an amazing foundation. And when I think about kind of how St. Baldrick's has helped, the first few notes that I actually made were they each had the same kind of heading, which is that mentoring is never over. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about, in each case, mentoring is never over. So it's connected me with a network of faculty mentors inside of nationwide and externally. And so in my kind of process in establishing my lab, understanding from folks who've kind of been in this area for decades, what are the key problems that we can kind of focus on to attack pediatric cancer? What's the available infrastructure that exists to do so, and can we generate new infrastructure? In my case, kind of leveraging this incredible deep infrastructure for genome and RNA sequencing at the hospital, but kind of leveraging that for chromatin sequencing has been absolutely an amazing experience. So then on the same kind of topic, the mentoring is never over, I think that in a major way, St. Baldrick's helped me focus key questions for the first generation of trainees in my lab, and to kind of have this process where I'm really trying to connect the basic science to translational outcomes, and doing it in very kind of with precise language and precise aims helped tremendously for the first generation of trainees who've now already gone on and done amazing things and continue to do amazing things. And I think on the same topic of mentoring is never over, the St. Baldrick's connected me with families, and families who've been directly affected by rhabdomyosarcoma. And this has been tremendously meaningful and continues to be, that somehow, all the hard work that the lab is doing and the questions we're asking are meaningful in the community. And so I think that kind of brings me to another topic of community, that ultimately I think why all of this matters, and something why, like a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I think a lot of us are doing what we're doing, is community building and how important community is to us. And so just kind of integrating this community of scientists and trainees and families who've been affected is really fundamentally about community building, and this is happening through St. Baldrick's, and I'm so grateful for that.
Wow. Together, we've made incredible strides, but our work is far from over. With your continued support, we'll keep fighting until every child has the chance to live a long and healthy life. So please, anyone listening right now, and for those of you keep sharing this out there, please donate what you can, share the message by clicking on those share buttons wherever you're listening, and join us in the fight against childhood cancer. So inspiring, Matt.
But now, Phil, we would like to take a moment to introduce each and every one of you to our 2024 St. Baldrick's Ambassadors. These remarkable kids have faced the unimaginable challenges of childhood cancer with bravery, with resilience, and unwavering determination. As we explore the progress made in specific cancer types, let us keep these inspiring young warriors at the forefront of our minds.
I'm excited to introduce you to our 2024 ambassadors.
And I'll give an example or two about the progress we've made possible in each of their diseases. Of course, there are many examples, but we're giving just one or two to help you tell the story of St. Baldrick's impact and raise more money.
Like all kids with cancer, Juliana, Aaron, Scott, Cam, and Sam are so much more than their diagnosis. They are awesome, determined, brave, playful, positive, resilient, talented, wide-eyed, vocal, dreamers, and superheroes. Juliana, also known as Juju, is obsessed with Jack Sparrow, loves swimming, bike riding, dancing, baby dolls, dressing up, playing doctor, and church. Both headstrong and determined, if she wants something, she won't stop until she gets it. Originally diagnosed with intermediate risk neuroblastoma in January 2022, she relapsed a year later as stage 3 high risk. At that time, her care was transferred from Ochsner Medical Center in New Orleans to Memorial Sloan Kettering. She faced more chemotherapy, a 12-hour surgery to resect her tumor, 14 fractions of radiation, and a stem cell harvest. Juju has dealt with multiple surgeries for port placements and removals, feeding therapy to food diversions, along with 20+ sedations for all procedures. She's also had extensive dental surgery due to the effects of chemotherapy on her teeth. Juju and her family are thrilled that her most recent scans showed no evidence of disease. When asked what she wants to be when she grows up, she responded, "I just want to be a kid. That is what all kids with cancer deserve." Here is a short video clip of Juju. She's holding a plunger because this was part of the video she made to challenge Bald Bandito from TikTok to put silly things on his head as part of his support of St. Baldrick's during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in September 2023.
Hi, my name is Juju. I had cancer.
Since 2005, St. Baldrick's has awarded almost 200 grants, totaling over $28 million in support for neuroblastoma research. The chart up here shows the number of neuroblastoma grants and dollars awarded by year. Unfortunately, you see a little bit of a dip around 2020, but we are hard at work to bring that back up. Notably, the St. Baldrick's Foundation supported early work that led to the 2015 FDA approval of Unituxin. Unituxin is an immunotherapy to treat high-risk neuroblastoma, and the FDA approval was a major breakthrough in the treatment of neuroblastoma. Treatment with Unituxin resulted in 20% improvement in event-free survival after 2 years. 5 years after treatment, 72% of children in the study were still alive, and 61% had no evidence of disease. More recently, we've supported a clinical trial which aims to prevent relapse by using a combination of drugs.
Resilient, positive, and determined are a few words that describe Aaron. These traits served him well through his cancer battle and continue to guide his life today. He is a huge fan of Queen, guitar, soccer star Lionel Messi, and giving back. When he was 4, Aaron stopped walking. An MRI revealed a tumor on his spine. A few days later, his family received the Ewing sarcoma. Cancer treatment started right away, even while he was still relearning how to walk. Over the course of 7 months, Aaron endured 2 additional surgeries and physical therapy. He underwent 14 rounds of chemotherapy and 28 rounds of proton beam radiation, a 6-hour drive from home. To get through proton treatments, Aaron would listen to Katy Perry's song Firework on repeat. In 6 weeks, it was played more than 440 times. In all, Aaron spent 82 nights in the hospital during treatment. The Penske family also believes in giving back and has helped raise more than $400,000 through their annual St. Baldrick's event. Aaron is participating again this year at his family's event slated for March 9th, something he's done every year since 2016. When Aaron was in the hospital during treatment, he was promised a guitar, something he received after he was declared cancer-free. Playing guitar is one of his passions. Here is a video of a much younger Aaron performing.
As a survivor, Aaron is dealing with the side effects from his treatment. Recognizing a cure is not enough. The St. Baldrick's Foundation has supported almost 200 grants, totaling over $22 million, focusing on survivorship. Unfortunately, Aaron is one of many survivors dealing with the risk of heart damage from their treatment. As you can see, almost every survivor suffers serious late effects of treatment, and damage to the heart is one of the most common. A notable St. Baldrick's grant looked to see if a readily available drug called dexroxazine, when given at the same time as chemotherapy, could protect kids' hearts from the long-term side effects of their cancer treatments. Results showed there were no adverse effects from the addition of this drug. So now researchers are investigating how effective this drug has been in reducing heart disease among kids. Results so far suggest that the risk of more serious heart disease, including the need for a heart transplant, may be lower in children who received the drug compared to those who did not.
Scott is a cheerful, hardworking 15-year-old who enjoys football, hanging out with friends, and traveling. He was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia at the age of 3. By the time he finished treatment 3.5 years later, he had taken more than 1,500 pills, endured countless blood transfusions and spinal taps, unpleasant nebulized antibiotic treatments for immunosuppression, and spent more than half of his life on chemo. In addition to not feeling well, Scott missed out on many ordinary childhood activities during treatment, like playdates, parties, and going to school. Around the time Scott turned 5, he had lost multiple friends to cancer, and the magnitude of childhood cancer's emotional impact became more real. Scott is an old soul, and treatment and all the time spent in the hospital allowed him to gain a more seasoned perspective on life early on. One night while inpatient, Scott and his mom reflected on how much cancer changed his life and how fortunate they were that he was still trudging along towards the end of treatment with an exciting new beginning on the horizon. The pact they made that night to become lifelong childhood cancer advocates marked the beginning of Scott's blossoming passion for advocacy. Here is a then 12-year-old Scott inspiring St. Baldrick's participants with his story.
Hi everyone, my name is Scott Lanfesti and I'm 12 years old and from Cary, North Carolina. I'm also a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia when I was 3 years old, and I went through 3.5 years of chemotherapy at UNC Cancer Center. I was diagnosed a week before Thanksgiving, and that marked the beginning of countless hospital visits full of bone marrow biopsies, blood transfusions, platelet transfusions, and chemotherapy. I also took several drugs like cytarabine, dexamethasone, mercaptopurine, methotrexate, and thioguanine, just to name a few. Kids shouldn't have to spend more time in a hospital than on a playground, but that's the life for many kids with cancer. I often felt tired, nauseous, and weak, and I lived in a bubble for 3.5 years. The isolation that the world faced this past year because of the COVID-19 pandemic is like a glimpse into everyday life for kids with cancer. There's a lot of mask wearing, sanitizing, and isolation because of our weakened immune systems. A fever means an automatic trip to the emergency room and oftentimes a lengthy hospitalization. My life was anything but normal for 3.5 years, and I understood that it was important to avoid any setbacks in my treatment. By the time I finished treatment, I actually taken more than 1,500 pills and been on chemotherapy for more than half my life. I understand that this was all very hard, but as hard as it was, I understand that I'm also very, very lucky to still be here. Someone with a second chance at life at 12 years old. And I'm so grateful for all the experiences and memories I've been able to share with my family since finishing treatment. Childhood cancer is the #1 disease killer of kids in the US, and I've known so many kids who have died to this awful disease. We need help to change this, and I want to thank you personally for being a part of the solution. What you're doing today is more than just a shave or haircut. You are providing kids with cancer more cures, better treatments, and the hope of being able to go on and live a happy and healthy life, and that's priceless. So on behalf of kids like me, we thank you so, so much for your support and our fight against childhood cancer. Thank you.
So, as we just heard, Scott has been a vocal advocate for the St. Baldrick's Foundation since 2015. His participation has helped the St. Baldrick's Foundation and Alliance for Childhood Cancer achieve advocacy milestones, including passing the Childhood Cancer STAR Act, which is one of the most comprehensive childhood cancer legislations ever considered by Congress. This law creates and maintains biorepositories at the NCI, supports nationwide childhood cancer surveillance programs, and develops best practices for long-term survivorship care. We've also helped secure funding for the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative, which supports efforts to collect, analyze, and share data to further childhood cancer research. We've been part of passing the Race for Children Act, which requires companies to test adult cancer drugs in children if there is a substantially relevant molecular target. And lastly, as shown in this chart, we have worked to gain increases for cancer research funding at the National Institutes of Health and the National Cancer Institute.
Camden, aka Cam, was 3 years old in preschool and had just become a big brother when he was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia in February of 2017. In September of 2018, about a year and a half after his initial diagnosis, An abnormal blood test showed signs of relapse. Instead of a relapse, Camden had a new type of leukemia, acute myeloid leukemia, possibly caused by the chemotherapy used to treat his initial diagnosis. Over the next 4+ years, he endured intensive chemotherapy, 2 bone marrow transplants, severe graft versus host disease, endless procedures and surgeries, a clinical trial in St. Louis, and several relapses in between. Despite Camden's fight through it all, he passed away on December 16, 2022, at the age of 9. Cam won over the hearts of both peers and adults with his precious smile and kind heart. He was an old soul, and his witty personality created lasting connections with everyone he met. He enjoyed what most little boys do: sports, building Legos, acquiring Pokemon cards, playing video games, and snuggling his puppy Dixie. Most of all, he adored his little brother Garrett and his parents, Megan and Drew. Throughout his life, he inspired others with the courage he showed during the hardest times in his cancer fight, none of which could bring down his beautiful spirit. Honoring Cam's memory is how his family celebrates the permanent mark he left on all who knew him, and that ultimately is his everlasting story. Cam's family has been involved with St. Baldrick's for many years, with his dad Drew a repeat Shavy-in fundraiser. Last September, his dad, along with some friends, created the Cammers Tough team, raising over $16,000 for childhood cancer research. This is a video his mom put together to share his story and promote their shave.
When a child has cancer, it doesn't just mean a diagnosis and a treatment. It means a lifelong battle with permanent scars for both the child and the family. Even if you beat the odds, you're still left to pick up the pieces of a child who is often physically and emotionally broken. Our son Cam was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 3. He was in preschool and had just become a big brother. Then suddenly, without warning, he had to fight for his life. And fight he did. For 6 years, he suffered through harsh treatments and bone marrow transplants and clinical trials. We tried everything modern medicine could offer. We did it all. And it wasn't enough. The kids who make it to the other side of cancer treatment get to ring a bell. It symbolizes the end of cancer, the end of hard things. Cam got to ring that bell twice. But the truth is, the hard things don't always end when the treatment does. Cancer kids will continue to deal with the long-term effects from the stress on their bodies, not to mention the never-ending fear of relapse. They must accept it, though they're given no say in it. Cam was forced to accept an IV line in his chest, a G-tube in his stomach, an ostomy, a bald head, thinning skin, nausea, juvenile cataracts, neurological issues, chronic pain, Zoom school, no public places, a higher risk of heart defects, and no biological children of his own when the time came. The list is long. Too long. We kept thinking if we could only hold Cam's leukemia at bay until research found another way to save him. But unfortunately, in our case, the progress wasn't fast enough, the options not effective enough, and we couldn't cure him. No child should have to suffer through cancer and be left broken. No child should be left without a cure. That's why we raise money for St. Baldrick's, to fund research that gives parents hope for cures and better long-term outcomes for their children. We've shaved heads several times over the years, sometimes in hospital rooms, sometimes on Zoom. Every time Cam had to shave his head in treatment, his dad did it with him in solidarity. Now we shave in his memory. We fundraise in his name. And we fight for a cure. We fight like he did.
As we just heard, Cam was diagnosed with ALL that became AML. These are two types of blood cancers that each attack different types of white blood cells. While great progress has been made over many decades to help kids survive ALL, the same has not been true for kids with AML. We are helping to change that by awarding 115 grants totaling more than 23 million in support of AML research. This chart shows the number of AML grants and dollars awarded by year. Notably, St. Baldrick supported a genomic sequencing effort that resulted in an AML risk stratification system, or a way of determining which patients are low risk and which are high risk, so that treatments can best fit an individual patient. This AML risk stratification system guides AML treatment for current care. Sadly, CAM is one of many to develop secondary cancer from their treatment. Survival rates only reflect 5 years post-diagnosis, and many of us rightfully celebrate that the 5-year survival rate in the US has risen to 84%. But we need to remember this stat doesn't tell the whole story because 5 years is not enough. For kids like Cam who die after that milestone, we need to continue supporting research into the late effects childhood cancer survivors face.
20-year-old Sam is an accomplished musician, pilot, and philanthropist. He's also a 3-time St. Baldrick Shavee who is committed to making a difference in the lives of other kids with cancer. When he was 12 or 13, Sam joined the Civil Air Patrol because he dreamed of being a pilot. It also opened opportunities for him to give back, including getting involved with St. Baldrick's. In 2018 and 2019, when he shaved his head, raising over $10,000 for kids with cancer, he never imagined he would become one of them. In January 2021, a high fever and muscle pain landed Sam in the emergency room. He was shocked to be diagnosed with acute promyelocytic leukemia, a subtype of acute myeloid leukemia. During the intensive treatment phase, a bleed compressed his spinal cord, causing paralysis from the waist down. After a long night in the ICU, being pumped full of blood products and chemo, doctors performed a major spinal surgery to relieve the pressure and give him a chance to walk. He was in the hospital for 3 months after surgery, followed by intensive physical rehabilitation at Shirley Ryan Ability Lab in Chicago. Sam and his family are forever grateful to St. Baldrick's because the Children's Oncology Group trial he was on was partially funded by the foundation. Today, he's in remission and a sophomore at San Diego State University, where he plays in the SDSU Symphony Orchestra, joined a fraternity, and plans to major in history with a possible minor in music education. Last September, Sam was a guest on the St. Baldrick's Impact Series. Here is a portion of that conversation.
So when I first joined the Civil Air Patrol, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a pilot, but my dad was in the military, so I thought, oh, maybe I'll do some military, maybe I'll do that. And then they presented me with this St. Baldrick's, with this fundraising opportunity. And for some reason, I don't even really remember what drew me to it, but I was so drawn to the idea of going and doing these St. Baldrick's events at fire stations and in people's backyards. And so it got to a point where I shaved twice, but I had attended 2 or 3 or 4 events of St. Baldrick's. And, later on in that process, I started running, like for Civil Air Patrol, I was running the teams that went there because this was like my thing, and it turned out, after doing this for 2 years, my grandma ended up passing away from pancreatic cancer. So it just gave me more of a reason to want to do it. And then, it's funny, when I was in the hospital with, my cancer diagnosis and, trying to fight my way through, I saw St. Baldrick's everywhere, and I started asking, oh, I used to be a part of St. Baldrick's. What did they help with my study? And they were like, yeah, your study or your treatment has been mostly or partially funded by St. Baldrick's. And that really was kind of powerful to me because it was very a full circle moment, and that's why, the work that St. Baldrick's does not only saved my life, but it saves countless lives. So learning that I was able to help myself, it was pretty cool. It was a really, mentally challenging experience, but learning that I helped myself deal with it in the before, kind of gave me that extra bump.
So Sam, why should others care about the dreams of kids, and why should they get involved in St. Baldrick's?
I mean, like, it's pretty plain for me. I am a little biased, but I'd just like to say I think St. Baldrick's might be the best nonprofit out there right now. I mean, they're helping kids every day who need the help. Like, this is a terrible, terrible disease that is being combated by many people, but I think St. Baldrick's is the way to go. Or, I mean, any cancer research, donation is extremely helpful, but St. Baldrick's, it's going to the right place. And I know it's going to the right place because the funding for their studies and the funding for these kids is so vital to Children's Hospital. I know. I spent a lot of time at Children's Hospital. I know a lot of the employees at Children's Hospital, and I know how much they care about St. Baldrick's. So for them to care about St. Baldrick's, that means I care, and that means a lot more people should care about St. Baldrick's because it's doing incredible things for kids.
As we just heard, Sam was diagnosed with APL, a subtype of AML. He was treated on a COG clinical trial supported in part by the St. Baldrick's Foundation. Since 2005, St. Baldrick's has awarded more than $97 million to the COG. These funds awarded to the COG are distributed to its member institutions, roughly 120 hospitals. And in this way, St. Baldrick's supports virtually every institution qualified to treat childhood cancers. These funds are provided to member institutions as a per-case reimbursement for every child enrolled on a clinical trial at their institution. This support helps to open and maintain life-saving clinical trials, researching cures and better treatments, and ultimately setting the standard of care in childhood cancer treatment. Support for COG is also critical to helping kids with rare diseases like Sam, because few institutions will study these diseases and none will have the adequate numbers of patients in the rare diseases to make any progress. We are proud to be a primary supporter of the COG since our first event, and we continue to be a supporter due to the need for cooperative research because we've committed to funding the entirety of the research pipeline, and these clinical trials are the final step in that pipeline that ultimately lead to new drugs and therapies, as well as the impact for communities across the country who get to see these funds flowing back to their local hospital.
All kids with cancer are inspiration. This photo of Cam standing in front of the Winnie the Pooh quote is a good reminder that we are often braver than we believe, stronger than we seem, and smarter than we think. This video snippet of Cam and his mom in the hospital reminds us what we're fighting for, the opportunity to give kids with cancer a normal childhood.
We want to know how you do this. Ready?
We're trying to do not a handshake, but it's... Ooh, this just burped in my face. We're teaching him down by the banks, and I'm not sure if I remember all of it, so Audrey, you have to tell us if we're doing it right and what we're missing. Okay, ready? Down.
Your ring.
Oh, sorry. Ouch. Okay, hold on. Down by the banks of the hanky-panky where the bullfrogs jump from bank to bank where the eeps, ops, soda pops. Frog, Mr. Billy, and he went
Kerplop.
Kerplop. That's not totally right, but we can't remember. Can you teach us? Thank you. Bye.
Well, friends, I think that video alone sums up one of the main reasons why we are here right now. Those kids that are fighting every day are truly my heroes, and the reasons we will never stop until there's a cure for all childhood cancers. The reality of why St. Baldrick's exists really came to the forefront when watching that video. But let's focus on some important things. The advancements that have been made are incredible. And you out there are the reason this is possible. Beyond funding grants, did you know that St. Baldrick's has also been leading the force in childhood cancer advocacy, fighting tirelessly for increased research funding and better treatments? Let's hear directly from St. Baldrick's CEO and the Director of Advocacy to learn more about St. Baldrick's part in their fight against cancer and fighting for that advocacy.
Early on, I think it was about 2006 or 2007, because of our growing army of heroes working on behalf of kids with cancer, the St. Baldrick's Foundation was asked to support the childhood cancer community's advocacy efforts via the Alliance for Childhood Cancer. We didn't know then where we'd find the time or resources to contribute in a meaningful way, but we knew jumping in was the right thing to do. 18 or so years later, St. Baldrick's has been the co-chair of the Alliance for about 10 years now. And we've been proud to bring hundreds of advocates to Washington, D.C. to help educate legislators of the needs of kids with cancer. Thousands of St. Baldrick's volunteers and donors have called or emailed their legislators to tell them kids with cancer matter and need their leadership. The results have been amazing. New bills have been passed, including the most comprehensive bill ever in childhood cancer, and we've increased federal funding for research. The NCI is the largest funder of pediatric cancer research anywhere, so increasing that pie is a significant win.
Hi, my name is Rosalie Abbott, and I am the Director of Government Relations and Advocacy for St. Baldrick's, and I've been in this position since October of 2023. And before I started at St. Baldrick's, I worked with the foundation through the Alliance for Childhood Cancer for about 8 years before this. And my perception of St. Baldrick's was that they were just real leaders in the advocacy space. I was just always impressed with how well St. Baldrick's could develop congressional champions, could really work with members on both sides of the aisle, worked with the administration and with Congress to advance our federal priorities. I was also just consistently impressed with the volunteers that St. Baldrick's worked with, just folks who I think really understood childhood cancer advocacy and were really able to convey the emotional impact and the ways that we need congressional champions in this space. So I'm so excited to be here, and I just really admire the work that St. Baldrick's has always done in this space. Regarding what is next in childhood cancer advocacy, there's a few issues that, the childhood cancer advocacy community has always worked on, particularly related to appropriations. So this is just making sure that the NIH, the NCI, the Childhood Cancer STAR Act, and the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative are fully funded and are able to continue making advances in childhood cancer research. There's also a few areas that are newer, related to recently introduced bills that we're really excited to work on. These relate to childhood cancer drug shortages and childhood cancer drug development. We're really just concerned here about making sure that childhood cancer patients have access to the medications they need and are able to take advantage of the incredible research that's happening. So there's a lot that I think we're really excited to work on through 2024.
Thank you so much, Kathleen and Rosalie, and thank you to everyone who has been involved in advocating for more fundraising for childhood cancer research. We also want to thank everyone who has supported St. Baldrick's over the years in some way. And now we'd like you to meet some of the lives that each and every one of you have impacted.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia at 3 years old. I had 3.5 years of treatment that was really full of countless hospitalizations, bone marrow biopsies, medication infusions, and side effects. And those were pretty long and brutal years that I really wouldn't wish on anyone. But fortunately, I'm still here today as a survivor. And research, no doubt, saved my life. And I can't tell you how thankful I am for being able to enjoy the last 9 years since finishing treatment. Because I've been able to go on lots of trips with my family, advocate for kids with cancer on Capitol Hill every year, play sports, learn to drive, and really just enjoy all that life has to offer. And so my hope is that one day soon, all kids with cancer will have the same opportunity to enjoy being a kid after cancer and continue making memories with their family. As St. Baldrick's volunteers and donors, your support is turning this dream into reality because you're funding life-saving research that is giving childhood cancer families hope that cures will be found in time to save their child. So I want to personally thank you so much for your support and for helping St. Baldrick's accelerate the next 25 years of cures.
My name is Kelly Forbaugh. I am the proud mom of Honor Kid Jackson. Been involved with St. Baldrick since 2006. We attended an event about a month after he finished treatment, and I immediately fell in love with the energy of that event, how it was volunteer driven, the impact, the money that was being raised was going to really make a difference in the fight to conquer cancer. And we've been involved ever since. In 2012, I started working for the foundation, and today I am the director of Hero Funds and Memorials. So Jackson was diagnosed when he was 15 months old with a very lethal form of kidney cancer called a malignant rhabdoid tumor of the kidney. He was treated at Seattle Children's, went through surgery, high-dose chemotherapy, and radiation. His team had confessed early on that this is a cancer that they don't really have a good handle on how to treat, and they were going to make him very sick in the process of trying to cure him. And they did. Treatment was quite rough, but by the time he was 2, he was done with treatment. And then for the next couple of years, we just kind of held our breath. The chance of relapse with a rhabdoid tumor is very, very high, and less than 25% of children survive. And so by the time he hit 2 years post-treatment, his team told us it was time to start breathing again, and that we really needed to shift our sights on to looking at what survivorship issues might pop up. So we've been really fortunate for the past 16 years. Jackson has been seen in the survivorship clinic at Seattle Children's. The focus is really educating us about the potential issues that could arise and when things do happen, to make sure that he has the support and we can get him into the specialist when needed. So we are very, very lucky that we have a good survivorship team that's been able to take really good care of him over the past 16 years. So Jackson is now 19 years old. He's a freshman in college at St. Olaf in Minnesota. All things considered, he's doing really well. He has got some issues with his heart and his kidney, adhesions in his abdomen. He's needed an emergency surgery to deal with those. But so far, everything is very manageable, and he is really thriving beyond treatment. That's what I want for every child. I want a cure. I want a less toxic cure so they can thrive beyond treatment. And that's where St. Baldrick's comes in. St. Baldrick's is funding that research. I know kids who are alive today because of a clinical trial St. Baldrick's has funded. Jackson's oncology fellow received a scholars award to help launch his career after he finished his fellowship. And I've seen the impact that that has made. And that's why I stay involved. I want to pay it forward. I want that next generation of kids to have better treatment options. And so I want to thank all of you for being part of this organization, all of the donors, all of the volunteers, all of the families. Together, we are moving the needle on conquering kids' cancer. And I'm so grateful to be part of this organization.
Those stories are just incredible and show the life-saving impact your support has made out there. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and sticking with us today. Together, we can give more kids the lifetime that they truly deserve.
Ultimately, we would like to thank you all for joining us this morning and for your unwavering support to conquer kids' cancer. Remember to donate if you can, share this live event, and don't forget to tune in at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time for our live head shaving portion. We will see